So that's coming in now, number 26. Fowler Agricultural Engine from 1906. Bowden's steam wagon. Chester the String Mountains. Castro Fortress. And then we have Little Dawn, another of the Fowler engines. And you see all their customers and Fowler. 12 years. Alan, where we brought him from, where are you based? favourite spot. And we've got Wellington, a smaller engine. Tell us about Wellington. We'll find someone who does. The Wellington unit's called Dragon, really quick. You'll see it on the stack of the play. Now we've got a new addition to Hunton.
Yes, this is the all-late steam herb Land Rover, but also the Land Rover 19 something, and it's something I made myself, old.
Built 1960. Followed by Sir John Williams. Is this perhaps the oldest engine we've got on site today? 1888 strong with another 1888. The badge saying Beacon County Council, does it still live up in the north? Where we come from today? Only 25 miles, so it's not in Beacon anymore. Still coming in.
Okay, alright.
Another Fowler Agricultural. 91, I believe. With a Marshall. Mary Margaret. 69. Oh, I'm on the wrong line. 1989. How long have you had her? 30 years. And a regular at Hunton. Well, good to have you back. A few neighbours, Wallace. And originally in London, and Messrs. Pickford Limited, and the Pickford's College. Next comes the Fowler Showroom Taxes, Murphy, 1927. 2020, was this another lockdown project? Another small padlock. General purpose. Following up with the back number 5 on the programme, 1921, a Fowler steamroller, lovingly known as Hilda. Tell us about Hilda.
Look at tar straight. Just do the rolls.
It's a Fowler tar scrape roller, worked for Woods and Eden on its life, around the 71 Fowler scrapyard.
Saved from scrapyard in 17th England tour. Worked and lived in Eden, so not very far away from us.
Eden, not far.
The steam parade. Are we ready? We'll get the last couple lined up. They'll sound off for us. Yeah, nothing quite like the sound and taste. so many engines. I wonder if you've spotted a favourite amongst them. Perhaps one of the rollers, or one of the showman's engines. Perhaps it's the oldest, or the largest, or the smallest. Incredible sights and sounds. We'll come back to the steam-powered Land Rover, our chapel steam-powered Land Rover. Now we're all Hunton. Tell us about the host vehicle for the engine.
The engine came out of a miniature out of a Ford steam wagon, and I don't think it's anything out of
welcome into the ring our miniature engines.
My name's Ken Rogers. Fastest now is a steamroller with a crane on. And this is Mark Stevens, and he's from Edinburgh. And everybody says they didn't have cranes on steamrollers. But if you speak to Mark, he can show you the picture of the original one. Go up and get on with it, man. Now we have another Ford wagon, very popular. This one's owned by Richard Smith from Wakefield. And Richard's a joiner by trade, and that tank on the back is actually made of wood. So there you are. It's the only one made, and Alistair's made it from a photograph of the original wagon which he has in the back. Cast the wheels, done everything. Then we have Michael Davison from Hartlepool on a 4-inch Ford wagon. When I say a 4-inch, it's 4 inches to the foot, so it's 1/3 scale. And following him, we have Richard Gudgeon on a 6-inch Ford. So you can see the difference. There's quite a good difference in the size between them. How are you, Pete? Now we have Peter, I don't know his second name. He hasn't got one. Peter on a 4-inch Burl single-cylinder agricultural engine. Nice little engine, towing a water cart. Now coming down now, we have Stevie Gell on a 5-inch, but it's a freelance, and this was made by Eddie Chapman from North Coughton. Quite an old engine, but still going very well. Now we have Paul Langford on another Burrell. Burrells is very popular because Burrells is best. Am I right, Paul? My eye. Now that we have Dave Davies on a 6-inch Ford wagon, fitted with a canopy and a showman's dynamo on the front. You'll see him tonight most likely outside the beer tent with the lights on. Coming now, we have Mick Mower, and Mick Mower's on a single-cylinder garage. You don't seem to get a lot of single-cylinder garages about. I don't know why, but Mick's from Huddersfield, I think. Now we have Chris Smith on a 4-inch McLaren. And this 4-inch McLaren, how many miles has it done, Chris? A couple of 1,000 miles, and he's not joking. He's steamed this engine all over the country, and Chris is from Stendrop in Durham. Now that we have Josh Andrews, and Josh is on a Showman, the Burrell double crank compound. When I say a double crank compound, it's twin cylinder, but it's a Showman's engine, all the lights on, everything. And Josh's granddad made that, Harry. Then we have Lol Vasey sneaking past with a Burrell. And then following on, we have Pat Brady on a little electric done as a Sentinel wagon. They're made from mobility scooters. Now we have Bernie Fairbanks from Blackpool, and Bernie's on a 4-inch 2CD or 4CD? 6-inch, sorry, 2CD, 4CD Garrett. And Bernie himself, he must have done a lot of miles on this because they've drove them, him and Chris drives the engines all over the country. Now we have Roger Poppleton on another 4-inch Ford, and they're as common as, oh, I nearly said shite there, because they're very easy, they're nice to wheel about. Now we have Chris Poole on a Burrell single crank compound. When I say a single crank compound, it has 2 cylinders, but it only has 1 conrod, and with a very powerful engine. Hold on a minute, will you? Now that we have, with this roller, it's 6 3/4 inch scales. People say, well, how did you get the 6 3/4 inch? There was size matters, you're right, Jim. The original drawings for the model was 4.5 inch, so Jim went half again, so it ended up, and he's made every bit of it himself. No castings, it's all fabricated. You'll not see another one, and it's beautiful. You must admit, lovely. Now we have Steve Bland from Hartlepool, and he's on a Foster, sorry, 4-inch Foster. Foster started off, there was quite a lot of them about, but I don't know why they seem to have like lost the plot a little bit. Now we have Martin Gell on another Foster. Martin's from, well, he was from Broughton at Saltburn, but I don't know, he's just moved last week. Martin's been doing this job since he was a very young lad. But he's a big lad now, mind. Now we have Tom Wallace on a barrel with all the bits on, and Tom's from Haddington, just as you go into Edinburgh, up the A1. Polished to the knuckles. If you have a look at it, it's got the Windermere kettle on, it's got every bit on you can get on. Now we have Malcolm, next to me now we have Malcolm Kirby on Doddy, and it's called Doddy because the engine is an Alfred Dodman. And they only made one of these engines, and it's a single crank compound. And they got stopped from making them because it infringed Charles Burrell's thing. And they're a bit of a like Hunton, but Malcolm's playing all over in that. And then just sneaking past behind Malcolm is Chris Wynne, or something. But it's his first rally and first time out, so he's doing very well to get round the ring. Now coming round now is Paul Liston. Paul's the miniature engine man with his new out 6-inch Ford wagon. You must admit it's lovely. And following behind Paul is his son on a Foster again, which was made by the granddad, David. And now we have, it is a miniature, but people think it isn't. It's a 9-inch scale Ford wagon, made by Hadrian Nash from Lancaster. Hadrian said to, he had a 4.5-inch Ford wagon, and he says, I'm going to make a bigger one. And he said to, and he's made every bit of that. And you must admit, it's a good size. Now we have Stuart Waller from Whitby, and Stuart's on a Ford, a 6-inch Ford Ford wagon, petrol wagon, done lovely, got a little Hunton engine in it. Now we have Robbie Highmark from Cadrick, so he has to come along. We have Charles Hill on a Fowler. Not many Fowler, I think it'll be the only 4-inch Fowler that's here. And it's the A8, is it? He's not listening, but getting around. Now we have John. Right, John, on a 4-inch Ford wagon again, with his daughters helping. And John bought this wagon. It was built by Richard somebody, Richard Bowes from somewhere. Now we have the cleanest engine on the side. This man here has this garage, and he can do 100 miles on it, and it doesn't have a splash of oil on it anywhere. It's fantastic. I don't know how he keeps it clean. Now the big 9-inch Ford wagon that went round earlier, this was Hadrian's 4.5-inch wagon, what he built first, what set him off to build the big wagon afterwards, and now it's owned by Frankie somebody, I couldn't tell you. Now we have a 6-inch Ford wagon owned by Alan Howe from Barnsley, sorry. Nice wagon, driven by, is it his daughter? Yep, Powen. A pink Burrell single crank compound. I don't know why they're towing it like, but there must be something wrong. And following behind, we have Alan Slater's 4-inch Ford wagon to the end. And I think that's about it. All these wagons and miniatures here, they're not models, they're all classed as miniatures. They're all fully working, exact copies of full-size ones. So I'll hand you back to the vicar that was supposed to be doing this bit.
And have you told us about your engine?
Sorry?
Have you heard about this engine as well?
It's a 4-inch Burrell single cylinder, made it myself over 2 years, and it's red.
It's red, it definitely is red. And looking fantastic. This is going to go and join the lineup. We have a big whistler. Should we have a big round of applause for all our miniature steam engines? Off you go! adult volunteers for tug of war? Anybody up for the challenge? Tug of war challenge from adults needed. Come on round to the ring. Challenge. You up for it? Come on. 2 more back on the chips to keep you straight ready for it. Excellent. So you want challenging those big engines. Come on. There's excellent. Come on through the main gates. Yeah, come on through the gate.